Hello and welcome back to Reactivity TV, where we give our therapist takes and perspectives to all things trending in TV and movies. I'm Amy Albero.
And I'm Catherine Van Eyck. We are both licensed therapists and have a lot of therapist perspectives today on The Summer I Turned Pretty, Season 2, Part 2, because we did a Part 1. Go watch that if you haven't already. This is episodes 5 through 8. So a lot happened in those 4 episodes.
Yes. Definitely the back half was stronger than the front half in a lot of ways, I thought, right?
Mm-hmm. It was more, I was more into it. I was more engaged.
Me too. Yeah. Although I did enjoy a lot of the flashbacks at the beginning of the season.
Yes. I do like getting filled in on what we missed when it wasn't summer.
Right. But yes, Catherine, good point. We did a Part 1. So if you haven't watched Part 1, go watch it. Also, if you haven't watched Season 2 yet, watch Season 2 and then watch this.
Yes.
Unless you really want to be spoiled, because we're not going to hold back today. I also feel as though I need to disclose that I am such a Conrad fan that I'm worried my bias toward Conrad will impact my assessment of what we're going to discuss today. So I feel like I just need to disclose that.
Yeah.
Here.
I think that's very nice of you. But if you're not Team Conrad, who are you?
Okay. Oh, thank God you are still Team Conrad. Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay, because the world is divided between Team Jeremiah and Team Conrad. So we are a Team Conrad podcast.
I think we should have gotten a Team Jeremiah on board for this episode or something, because I didn't know that there were actual Team Jeremiahs out there. Like, I'm following this like Twilight. Like, there weren't actually Team Jake. Like, you knew that she was going to end up with Edward, Bella, and Belly. Like, she has to end up with Conrad, right? Oh my God, right?
I mean, I think so.
I hope so.
They're infinite, you know?
Exactly.
I do know one of our colleagues is a Team Jeremiah member, so we can debate with her about that.
Whoa.
She did not have compelling reason, I'll just say.
Perfect. Great. Great debate. I'm excited.
But I say that because I want you to hold me accountable if you feel like my bias is like slanting a little too much into some of my takes.
Okay. I mean, you do a good job of playing both sides and showing empathy for people when it's very difficult. So if you're not doing that, I'll just call attention.
Okay. Thank you. What, I guess, stuck out to you? Where do you want to start?
This is a little snippet. I mean, it's not a little, what I'm going to say is a little snippet, but like it plays throughout the whole entire season. But it's something that I just wanted to bring up about Aunt Julia. She's made to be the villain in this almost the entire season. And I don't fault any of the teenagers for not knowing, or young adults, I guess, for not knowing or like not considering her point of view, because they're going through their own shit. She's going through her own shit. They're also not in family therapy, so I'm not trying to get them to see each other's sides here. But what I do want to say is that Aunt Julia did a really good job of putting up proper boundaries between her and the kids in a way that we hadn't really seen. I know you've been angry with the adults in this whole show, but I think with her, it's a little bit different. She doesn't tell them too much information about what went on between her and Susanna, or her, Susanna, and her dad that would influence the decision she was making. And she didn't have to explain herself either, as much as they all wanted her to. And they more so just wanted her to change her mind than to actually understand what she could have been going through. So I just think that was a great representation of proper hierarchical boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think, and it's so interesting too, because you're right. Like Aunt Julia did get painted as the villain. And sure, was her delivery a little bit harsh? And did she like at times come off as insensitive? Yes. But I think it's such an interesting representation of just people's reactions to boundaries in general, that it does feel like it's mean, or that it feels like, I don't know, boundaries are selfish or things like that. But you're right. Like she was, as the adult, she did hold the line as the adult. I think about season 1 and like how permissive Laurel and Susanna are around like the kids' alcohol use and I don't know, and
their own drug use,
and like there were such diffuse boundaries there in terms of that. And Julia is really coming in and acting in that proper adult role in that way. You're right.
Bravo, Aunt Julia.
Yes, good job. What I also appreciated was that she wasn't just like, okay, I'll give you the house or I'll gift you the house, that she still did what was in her best interest and Sky's best interest too, and saying like, yeah, you can buy it from me at fair market rate and all of that stuff. So like, that's another boundary there that I felt like, I don't know if people had opinions about that she should have been more like generous or something, but I thought that was a way that she needed to get her needs met as well. So
yeah, I think we can infer that this house is millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that would have sucked for her.
Yes. It doesn't seem like Aunt Julia and Sky are in a similar financial position as Susanna and the boys. Well, I guess as the Fishers.
Yeah. No, that was really great that she continued to uphold it while also leaning into a bit more the meaning that this place has for everybody else.
Yeah.
She had both.
She did. I wonder if we'll see them again.
I don't know. I guess they're not in the books, like you said. So
correct. Yeah.
They wouldn't have shown up in book 3.
They would not have shown up in book 3. There's an opportunity for them to get referenced if season 3 follows book 3's plot.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm so excited. Can't wait. So I know I alluded to this last week, but I wanted to talk about the sibling dynamic between Conrad and Jeremiah. We of course saw it in some ways in season 1, but we saw it a lot more pronounced in season 2, especially through the flashbacks, and as the kind of a love triangle with Belly became more evident. And so I guess I just wanted to kind of notice, well, one, the competitiveness, not reciprocated competitiveness. It seemed competitiveness, Jeremiah toward Conrad. It didn't feel like Conrad sees it in that way at all. And again, call back to the first season when Conrad and Belly played in the volleyball match. Mm-hmm. Jeremiah had said something to Conrad like, oh, congrats on winning today. I know how much you like to win. And Conrad said, it's not about winning for me. It's about doing the right thing. And that gave us some insight into kind of what Jeremiah's mindset is. And we also kind of have heard some inner monologue from Jeremiah around the fact that he's always felt like Conrad was better than him at everything. And so we kind of, and he always looked up to him and all of that stuff. And so we see that, again, he's measuring himself up against Conrad this entire time. And so there's a resentment growing clearly not between the two of them, but from Jeremiah to Conrad. And the way that he kind of interprets Conrad's actions and interactions are through that lens. And so he kind of, it seems clear that he, again, through this kind of competitiveness, has created a narrative around who Conrad is, who Belly is to Conrad, what the relationship must have been like. And we see that really in the episode where it's his point of view, where we see his or hear his point of view. And just the idea that he had thought, Conrad never even liked Belly. And we see so much evidence that says that's not true. And I think that's just a really good note that our perception does really impact the way that we view things, and it's not always accurate. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. But so we have this kind of competitive thing with Jeremiah where it feels a little bit like like Jeremiah's keeping score. And Conrad's not even playing in the same league, like not even playing the game. Mm-hmm. And instead, we see Conrad as someone who I mentioned in part 1 is very parentified. Conrad, again, we hear this throughout the series so far as the eldest of the 2 boys, but the eldest of all the kids, is put in a position to be responsible for them all. And that seems to have been really internalized by Conrad, that he needs to solve every problem and solve every problem on his own. That's why he's even trying to, escaped from Brown and is at this house trying to get it done. Why he feels like he needs to fight this fight with his father, with Aunt Julia. Why he's left cleaning up the house after everyone kind of Belly and Jeremiah kind of ride off into the sunset. And so we see this this sense of responsibility that Conrad has internalized to take care of things and people. I can infer that Conrad also pulled back from Belly as a way to give Jeremiah kind of what he wanted, knowing that his brother cared for Belly. That's my interpretation of what's happened, plus a little insight from book 3. I can't lie. But just the idea, he's always looked out for and taken care of his brother. And so it wouldn't shock me. Again, it would be so in character for Conrad to, again, take a step back, kind of martyr himself a little bit so that Jeremiah can have what he wants and Belly could be happy,
Yeah, like he has to continue being the adult here, and being the adult here means sacrificing for his brother, but his younger brother, more like a son.
Yeah, right. And we hear, and again, Adam is not a present father. We hear that a lot too. And so Conrad likely did take on some sort of parental or paternal role, especially while Susanna was getting very ill. And so again, it wouldn't surprise me if part of what was going on for Conrad in those moments was not wanting to be selfish, and in professing his love to Belly.
I do feel like there's some inconsistency in that, because with him being away at Brown and Jeremiah being with Susanna every day, and then feeling resentful that Conrad wasn't home. It's like he was playing that parental role, but also like playing it like his dad's playing it in that moment, not like Conrad would play it.
Right. Yeah. And I do think that there is an element of, Jer like finally had to step up a little bit and being the only one around. And, we see him paying the bills, and kind of taking care of Susanna, making her smoothies, things like that. And so, it's, I guess along with that, in terms of, I'm just thinking back to the sibling dynamic too, is so this competitiveness was really engendered by Adam. And we see that through Jeremiah's behaviors and his thoughts, but we also see, and while Conrad internalized this sense of responsibility and being the eldest, what we see also is that there's a lot of pressure on Jeremiah to be happy, to be full of joy, to just like let things roll off his back. We see that's what's expected of him. And it feels like that's always how he's been. Like in the first season, he was so light. He was like the court jester. And now, he's pretty dark, much darker. And it seems like he's kind of fed up and had enough of just letting things roll off his back, that he's finally feeling like I can say what I want, get what I want, even if it hurts people. And so we're seeing kind of a reaction to what Susanna had always kind of asked of him, or what people had expected of him too.
Yeah. Did you notice that once everything was settled with the house and Adam was leaving, that Conrad got the hug?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It was like yet another instance where Jeremiah is this like other kid.
Yeah.
And less important than Conrad, less serious than Conrad, less.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it seemed like the hug was more, Conrad initiated the hug with Adam, and Adam seemed so kind of like surprised by that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it still wasn't, it didn't create a moment for the family. You know, it didn't, like, just because it was Conrad doing it, it still wasn't like, it was Conrad confirming that family dynamic.
Yeah. Right. Yes, for sure. For sure. And this, again, jealousy, competitiveness, jealousy is so entrenched in their dynamic. Again, not coming from Conrad just being Conrad. And that, again, gets in the way of Jeremiah really being able to fully hear and see what's going on around him throughout this season, particularly, and like in the flashbacks and what's happening in the present. And I'm going on and on. I mean, this might segue me to my next point, and then we can go back to whatever else you had as well. But I think that, you know, what we're seeing from Jeremiah is someone who does feel jealous. He was really vulnerable in season 1, telling Belly how he felt. He felt like, you know, they were going to be something. He got really disappointed and felt really rejected by Belly. And so, you know, a lot of what we do see through season 2, again, as empathetic as I can be, is Jeremiah wanting to protect himself from getting hurt. He just lost his mom. He lost Belly. He and his brother are in a fraught relationship. And so he's guarding his heart and not wanting to get played again, basically, or not want to lose somebody. However, the way that Jeremiah engages, particularly with Belly, I found to be so troubling because it felt very manipulative. Throughout the entire season, Jeremiah is rude. He's like often like grumpy. It feels like Belly can't say anything right. She apologizes constantly. She's constantly checking in on Jeremiah, worrying that what she said made him feel a certain way. Like, she is so protective of Jeremiah's feelings. And that, to me, is giving manipulation. Just that Jeremiah's whole demeanor and the way that he shuts her down or shuts down is a way that he's inadvertently influencing the way that Belly is acting or reacting to him. And there's a scene on the beach where this is after the party, and Belly's just found out from Jeremiah and then from Conrad that Conrad had gone and begged Jeremiah for his permission for them to be together. And Belly had no idea. And that was a shock to her. And it was information that Jeremiah outed, and then Conrad confirmed. And it just sent Belly in this fucking spiral. So the next day, Belly and Jeremiah are sitting on the beach, and she's saying, like, God, I still can't believe Conrad begged you. And he literally goes, can we not? And you just see this kind of look of like, oh no, like I'm gonna make him mad again. And it's this feeling of I can't do anything right. That seems to be woven through this entire season. And that, like, it makes me a little bit uneasy about the setup for the foundation of their relationship, because it seems like it is on really shaky ground, like with some of this. Again, I don't think he's a master manipulator trying like on purpose to manipulate. But I think the way that he is engaging is manipulative.
So if you don't think that he's a master manipulator, but he's being manipulative, you don't think he's conscious of it?
I don't. Again, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think it's adaptive, resourceful. I haven't used those words in a long time, so I'm whipping them out today. I think he doesn't want to get hurt. And I think he does want to punish Belly a little bit. And I think that would be a human thing to do. She broke your heart. She made out with you, chose your brother over you, and then she wasn't there for you when your mom died. Yeah, I get it. So you're protecting her heart and like wanting to keep things close to you, keep her away. And you're kind of pissed at her and you want to teach her a lesson. And so I think that is what it's about. I don't think it's specifically like, oh, I'm going to do this so that Belly, like, I don't think that part of it's conscious. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see that at all?
Absolutely. I mean, I love that you brought up that was definitely manipulative. I knew I didn't like it. I think I was caught in it. Like somebody being manipulative gets caught in it where you're just like, oh no, I am going to make you mad again. Oh no. Like that happens and that's scary.
Right. Well, and it's so like the juxtaposition between their dynamic in Belly being really worried to make Jeremiah upset. We see a conversation between Belly and Conrad. I have watched this season way too much that I know this detail. Also, after the party, Belly and Conrad are throwing out the trash together, and they kind of are apologizing to one another for. Basically, Conrad said, like, I'm sorry that I hurt you. And they're having this dialogue around like, I really don't want to hurt you again. And she's saying to him, like, basically, like, you can't promise me that. Like, we're probably going to hurt each other again. Like, that's kind of out of our control. And that is a much more realistic point of view is that, we talk about this so much on Wishing You Well when we talk about relationships. Like conflict is a part of relationships, and a healthy, successful relationship is one that can navigate successfully through conflict in a healthy way. So like the idea that like you're never going to piss off your partner or have them get upset as a result of something that you do or say or don't do or say is unrealistic. And it feels like she knows that intuitively with Conrad. But with Jeremiah, it's like there's a fearfulness around that. I can write a thesis.
Another reason she shouldn't be with Jeremiah.
Anyway, I've been rambling for like 30 minutes. What thoughts? What else did you see?
Before I talk about what I saw in therapist lens, since you've seen this season too many times, did you also notice that Jeremiah's car just all of a sudden isn't there anymore? And they all had to drive back in the Range Rover? What happened to the red Jeep? Didn't fit into the story, so it disappeared. Wasn't in the driveway anymore.
That's so weird. Yeah, where did it go? In my mind, I was thinking, okay, yeah, you'll all take one car, you'll take the bigger car. But yeah, you're right. We haven't seen it since the beginning of the season.
And I think I might have messaged you about this because it really bothered me. Think about these details, folks. We are in New England, somewhere probably on Cape Cod. There are no palm trees there. And they're walking the boardwalk because this is filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina. And the editing, we couldn't take out the palm trees. They're everywhere. Guys, what was the budget?
Yeah. It's so funny. I did not notice that. And then you sent me that message and I was like around that episode. And yeah, when I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. And it did make me upset. We live in New England. That is not what New England looks like, folks. For those of you who do not live in this area.
So yeah, just wanted to point out those things. I
was
like
really
finding those things in shows. I don't know why. It gives me satisfaction to find mistakes.
Oh,
Like, and like this is a pretty popular one, but in Pretty Woman, she's like talking to Richard Gere and eating, I think she's eating like pancakes as she's talking to him at first. And then she's talking to him again and she's eating a croissant. Blows my mind.
yes. Yeah. The inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Not good.
But
Pay attention, people.
pay attention. Back to what I'm supposed to be paying attention to. So we talked about in our last episode of Reactivity TV how the parents are really just not doing it for us. Where are they? What are they doing? They're not parenting. Where are they? What are they doing? It's not parenting. And how Belly had all of these different quote like cries for help throughout the year. And the dad's just not mentioned anymore. So I'm just gonna forget about him. But like, Mom, Laurel, where were you? So Belly has yet another instance that we actually get to see where she's drunk at the party, calls her mom, leaves her a voicemail about how she needs to come and help and she needs her. And so this was like a literal cry for help. And Laurel did seem to turn things around after that. Of course, they had this blow up fight. But right after that, Laurel starts to see how she's been missing out this entire year, and what she can now do to try and mend things. So she not only does that for Belly, for Steven, but she also does it for herself. And she starts to actually lean into her grieving. So I guess it's kind of similar to my other point that I wanted to make, but like, bravo, Laurel. Glad you came.
Mm-hmm. She really did. She really stepped up in such a big way. And we also see her, like, it feels like they're trying to, like, there's a little bit of a dichotomy between Susanna and Laurel, that like Susanna is kind of like the more nurturing, kind of like fun, free-spirited person, and Laurel's like a lot more structured, maybe a little bit more rigid or more uptight. And so we see her lean a little bit more toward like channel Susanna at like during this, and like being a little bit warmer. Even on the way back with Steven, while he's like texting Taylor, she had said something, and said like, and he said like, that sounds like something Susanna would say. And so like that also felt like a nice way for her to kind of like lean into the softer side of her and have Susanna still be with her in her own sense of parenting, like so that she's not totally doing it alone without her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a couple other things. These aren't not even therapist things. These are I love Conrad things.
Before you do, and I love Conrad, because I think that's a good place to wrap up things.
Yeah.
We have a thing about, so Steven and Tay are together now. And they've also established what kind of couple they are.
Yes.
When he goes to drop her off at the volleyball tournament or camp thing. And Jeremiah asks Steven to stay, and they look at each other like, we're not that kind of couple. Like, how did they decide that? And when did they decide that?
That's a great question. It's so funny because like my response to that was like, I love this for you guys. Like in the way that it just like, yeah, it doesn't feel like they're again, Belly and Jeremiah, you're on top of each other. Like, get a life. It's too enmeshed. And whereas, it's like, I loved the security of Steven and Taylor, that it's like, no, you do your thing. I'll call you later. Like there was such a maturity in that. And yeah, great question about when they actually had that conversation, but it seemed just so understood. Like they just seemed so secure in like, once they had kind of expressed their like deep like for one another, that it seemed like that was enough. Like that was like such a kind of like more securely attached couple.
True. Also just felt like it was so awkward that Jeremiah is sitting there like with all these parents.
Yeah, at volleyball camp.
At volleyball camp. It's not even like a real game. Like this isn't like she's at
practice, drills and practice.
Yeah.
So weird.
I also like, isn't he craving a little time with his best friend? Maybe he hasn't really spent much of any.
No. Yeah, I don't like it. I do not like it. It's so much. Again, that's not healthy. And again, I could see like, okay, you and Belly just decided you're going to go and do this and be in a relationship. And this is something that you've supposedly been wanting for a while. Roll my eyes. And like, yeah, you want to spend as much time with her as you possibly can. Sure. But you're not spending time with her. Didn't like that.
Watching her.
Like, yes.
Different context. This is totally okay. But
yes.
Not here.
As a side note, again, if you want to do a deep dive into the Summer I Turned Pretty TikTok, there are so many parallels, apparently, to the Great Gatsby and the Summer I Turned Pretty. And there's so many references to that in the show. And there's a lot to be said about the eye, like watching and the eyes, and how Jeremiah just always seems to be lurking around the corner.
I thought that you were going to say there are parallels between Jeremiah and Joe.
Oh, oh my gosh. That's not out of the question. So out of the question. I'm going to sit with that. Ooh, wow. Yes. Discuss in the comments.
Yes. What were you going to say about Conrad?
Oh, I was more going to say just how, again, they use this idea of infinity, that it just, I feel like they are end game, like they are going to end up together. But we just see how kind of easy it is, how intuitive the relationship is throughout, especially the last couple of episodes, like Belly chilly in the car without even looking up from his book. Conrad just hands her a sweatshirt, which fits her perfectly. And she puts it like, no, they didn't even need to communicate. Like he just gets it. He knows about Swedish Fish versus Sour Patch Kids. Very small detail when they're studying and Belly is bribing them with McDonald's. Stephen and Jeremiah both fumble the cheeseburgers. Conrad catches it like a pro, like just so seamless, so easy. And so it does feel like they have this unspoken just bond, this unspoken effortlessness in terms of their connection, even though on the surface, they just can't freaking communicate. They just cannot. Okay.
I like that last one. He is a really good athlete, though. Just want to keep that in mind.
Fine. Okay. Fine. You can have that.
But I like it.
So I hope the writer's strike doesn't last too long so that we can get season 3 soonish. I don't want to wait that long.
I feel like they'll have to release it in the summer, right?
I hope so. Oh my gosh, imagine if they make us wait until like the summer of 25 because they can't get their shit together, the writer's strike.
No.
Please no.
They'd all be so old.
I know. They wouldn't need, like, I don't think they'd be able to play. I felt like Jeremiah really beefed up this. He like really grew up between last summer and this summer.
Agreed.
So yeah, we'll see. Do you have any predictions for season 3 or hopes for season 3?
Hope and prediction, definitely Conrad. Although, okay, also another hope is that Belly becomes more selfless and matures. You seem doubtful.
I'm doubtful. We'll see. I suspect that the show will not completely follow the storyline of the book. I kind of hope it doesn't. I think there are some great themes or whatever that can be explored on the show. So that's what I'm hoping for, is that it doesn't quite follow like the central plot of book 3, which I can't tell you because that will spoil too much.
But you haven't read book 3 yet.
I have.
You have?
I have.
Oh. Okay.
So what I would like for season 3 is to see more of Conrad and Laurel's relationship. It seems like they've had a relationship. I'd like to see that a little bit more and have like Conrad, or maybe we see more of Cleveland. Like I want to see more heart to hearts with Conrad and some adult. Like I'd really love to watch Conrad try to get his shit together emotionally. That's what he really needs. I mean, they all need therapy. I saw a meme that said this season could have ended if they all just went to therapy, something like that. And it's like they all really need it. So I would love to see Conrad kind of like working on himself. I would love to see Belly mature a little bit. And I'm going to guess, we know Jeremiah is going to Finch. We know the guidance counselor suggested Finch for Belly. She is wearing a Finch sweatshirt. Looks like they're probably going to go to college together. I would love to
not see that. And if that does happen, that they are able to form lives outside of one another as well. So we'll see. A lot could happen. I would like to see more of, like, as soon as you mentioned Cleveland, I want to see more of Laurel and Cleveland either together or not together. But like, I want to see more of what we saw in the first season, with seeing more of the parent stuff happening. I think that would be fun. Yeah,
I'd like to see that too. Like just kind of a wider context of like the other things going on in people's lives. Yeah.
Adam, let's bring him in there. Whatever Belly and Steven's dad's name is, let's bring him back in there.
John. Yeah. Let's see him around. There was a part of me that wondered, are they going to try to rekindle Laurel and John's relationship somehow? But
at the end of season 1, it looks like that.
Yeah. Right. And, but he disappeared. So who knows? We'll see. But I would love to have Laurel have a love interest. I'd like that for her, whether that's Cleveland or not.
Yeah. And making more friends, like this new friend at the bar at the event.
Yes, I know. So I feel like I have a lot of hopes. I think they're realistic for season 3. And as long as, Belly and Conrad end up together, I'm good.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, we will be back with another episode of Reactivity TV. Talking about upcoming, we'll definitely be talking about The Bachelor, The Golden Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise. So it's like almost Bachelor season. So stay tuned for more of that. But we always want to know what you're watching, what you're interested in, what you'd want to hear a therapist takes on. So drop those in the comments below. And
Amy, we're going to have to reveal who your co-host is for these Reactivity TV episodes.
Yes, we're hoping to have a Reactivity TV revealing the guest next week. Yes, I know. But this is almost our last one together for a while. So sad. Okay. So we will keep you posted with all those details, and we'll see you next week. Bye.